Will Cooper. I'm a solutions developer. I work on SharePoint solutions for all kinds of different companies and organizations. And I also, in addition to that, have a SharePoint YouTube channel that's called SharePoint Smart. If you haven't seen any of my videos on that, if you go check that out, there's more than 170 videos out there. It shows you all kinds of examples of cool things that you can do in SharePoint. Additional to that, I have a SharePoint product called SharePointDashboards.com. I'm going to give some more information on that a little bit later in the presentation. And then Infowise, I've worked with Infowise now for more than 10 years, and what we are an organization about providing our tool set SharePoint, which is Ultimate Forms. We're all about making it simple, easy, and improving. We'll get more into that. This is 100% a toolkit that's inside of SharePoint. There's no coding involved. You don't have to do any kind of programming or anything like that. It just adds to SharePoint. You can make updates through simple configuration updates like that. After we get through the main content, I'm going to provide information on SharePoint dashboards after that for those of you guys who are able to stick around. Okay, this is available to you both for SharePoint Online and on-premise SharePoint. So you can use Ultimate Forms Tools Kit regardless of what kind of SharePoint environment you have. We provide versions for both. This is kind of the way that I think about SharePoint. It's limited out of the box. It does not provide you the tools and abilities to do the things that you would want to do in SharePoint otherwise. So Ultimate Forms is all about giving you an easy way to accomplish all those things you cannot otherwise do with out-of-the-box SharePoint. All right, so let's talk about our goals for mobile forms, what I like to call phone-friendly forms. We need to make sure that it works smoothly both on the phone and on the desktop. So it's going to work in both modes. For those phone users, we want to make sure that it's easy to read and navigate. You should be able to move around and get to where you need to on the phone, without any extra hassle. And then additionally, we want to tap into the popular use of phones, which is to take pictures. And so in the example I'm going to show, we're going to demonstrate how pictures are a key part of it. All right, and so on the phone, we're going to be using the browser in the phone, and we're going to show you how to make that really easily accessible to your users. And we want to make sure these are going to be real-time updates. So this is collaboration between your workers. If you work in the service industry, you're going to have situations where you've got people that are making updates in SharePoint that are working at their office, and then you may have other people who are calling on customers. They're out in the field making updates, and this is going to give a way for them to work together and collaborate. And we want to have a solution where we don't have to do any custom programming. That's a blocker for many organizations. They may not have mobile forms because, at least in the past, that has often meant that you need custom development and coding in order to facilitate that solution. So we need to be able to create these forms easily without having to do any code. So smartphones are everywhere. We use them all the time. I don't think I'm going out on a limb and saying this. And we want to provide something where we can make those quick updates from our phone. We don't have to wait to get back to the office to do that. In order to make sure we have a good solution for a phone, we need to make sure it's easy for us to make the form, first of all. And then once it's out there, it's got to be as easy as possible for everybody to use. So it's got to be really simple to interface, whether I'm on the desktop or the phone version. Users want to move quick, so that means we've got to be able to make sure they can do those updates certainly in less than 60 seconds. They need to go in and get out quickly. If this solution isn't facilitating that, it's probably not going to get good user adoption, and it's not going to be a great solution for those people that are on the go and just need to pull out their phone to make a quick update. Now, what you want to do to help your users, rather than have them navigate through a bunch of screens to get to your form that you're going to set up, you want to have them go directly to that so they can move fast. these are some screenshots that show you how to set up a tile link on your phone by just clicking through a few different screens. So in Chrome on your phone, you can just go to the settings and click add to home screen and type in a description. And as you can see in my screenshot, it just makes the tile on your phone. And that means it's easy to get where you want. In fact, you'll see a link to expenses, and that's what I'm going to show for my example. So in this case, this is going to be a fast and easy way for people to collect expenses, submit receipts, and do that on the go with their phone. So that's what we're going to look at. I'm going to show you an example mobile expense report system. And so let's jump into that now. Okay, so in SharePoint, we've got this expense report page. This is a regular SharePoint team site. And what I'm going to demonstrate to you as we go along is that this works really well both for mobile phone and for desktop users. So I'm going to keep toggling back and forth to demonstrate that it works great in both situations. So this is representative of what I'm going to see on my phone. I can scroll up and down by just tapping on my phone, and you can see that it's easy and accessible in both modes. So I've got my expense reports here. I'm going to go into that right now, and we'll do a new expense report. We're going to demonstrate this system. Okay, so we're going to do a new expense report for my trip. You can see it auto-fills my name. I'll put in a manager. I'll just make that me for the sake of my demonstration today. And as I said, I'm going to keep toggling back and forth. So I can easily fill out this form. Hopefully you agree. This is easy to read on my phone too. Equally accessible, easy to make those updates. Okay, and then now we'll get to the expenses part. So I'll do lunch for Thursday, and then I'll put in the expense date and 20th. And I've got a simple picker for my category. So I'll say this is for meals and $12.50. Okay, and you see it automatically gives me a line total. So I can keep on putting in more of these. And then I'll show you how we upload the receipts in a second. Okay, so this is from my dinner last night. Went out for a nice dinner, so that's a little more expensive. I'll pick meals again. But you can see there's many categories I can pick from. And I'll say this was $67.50. You see that line total automatically updates. What's great is I can also do this from my phone, and it automatically adapts to that, that version of what I'm entering. So I can say lunch from Wednesday, yesterday. Another meals. Save. So you can see it's working really well in both modes. That's it. So I can do this incrementally. I don't need to wait until the end of the month. I can just collect those expenses on the go anytime. And then what I need to also be able to do is get those pictures, right? So I'm going to go ahead and attach receipts. So the way you can do that, if I'm on my desktop, when I click on this attachments field, that allows me to just browse to the computer. So that's pretty easy to understand. I can drag and drop too. So I've got receipts on my desktop. I can just drag it right on over. I can go grab another one. So that's easy. And what about the phone? Well, for the phone, when I tap on that, it's going to open up the camera app on my phone. Okay? So I can either upload the picture if I had taken it previously, but more normally I'm doing this right at the time where I have that receipt. So I can just snap a picture of it, and when I tap this, it'll open the camera app, and it's very easy. It just opens the camera and tap that picture, and it will automatically upload into SharePoint. I've used this many times, a really super handy feature to use. So it's going to work great in both scenarios. Now, when you create the report, it's automatically making updates. So if I go in here, it's going to do things like record and do history tracking. So if I go to approval, you can see a log for that. And then what I want to be able to do is once I'm ready, I can just do submit report. So let's say I'm done. I've got everything in for the month. So now I'm ready to submit it. It gives you the instructions right in the form. And it's just a simple toggle button. It just tells me what to do. When your expense report is complete, check submit expenses, then save. So I just hit that and I'm ready to go. Hit save. So remember, we have to make sure they're able to do their updates really fast. So hopefully you can see when I'm on the go with my phone, it's easy. You can see the status just updated. That's also going to show in the tracking. So I mentioned there's the history tracking to help us know who did what and when. That's automatic. It's done through the automation in the background. And then as the manager, I'll get a notification when it's submitted. It's also going to lock down the form. So notice this isn't a read-only mode. Obviously, when somebody submits, we need to make sure they're not adding new expenses or things like that. That would cause a problem. So as a manager, I can come in and say, yes, that's fine. I see that you attached all your receipts, and I've submitted this for payment, so I can save it. And that's going to trigger some more automation. See, the status is now marked approved. Another cool thing I can do is I can see those detailed line items accordion out directly from the view. That's part of this repeating table functionality provided by Ultimate Forms. Okay, notice in the PDFs, it's automatically creating a PDF for me as well. So obviously it's nice to have a permanent record of, what was done for the expense report. That can't be changed, so that's good just for backup purposes. Or also I have the ability to do that directly from the reports list. And then I can, just navigate around really easily. So if I'm in the mobile form, if I just click on the site title at the top, I can go back to this home page. I could do things like go to My Reports view. If I am just trying to see my own expense reports, obviously that would be an expected kind of a thing. Maybe I'm a manager and I want to check to see if there's anything hanging out there that needs approval. I can find them that way as well. Just lots of flexibility to be able to do that as what you want. Now, the example I demonstrated, this is just an expense report system, but you certainly have the ability to make all kinds of different forms for mobile. So any type of a situation where you've got people out in the field. So, in this situation, this is going to be able to handle for mileage, expenses, receipts, all those type of things. So no longer do I have to have a wadded up ball of receipts that I have to uncrumple and put into an Excel workbook at the end of the month. I can just do that directly from my smartphone. So this is going to be downloadable for free from our site after our presentation, along with the recording. So you can go ahead and pull that down. So let's go ahead and look at it from the setup perspective now. So you've seen what it's like for the user. Now let's go to the design, and if you go in here, I'm going to show you how this is put together. So if I go into form design, that's really kind of the first thing to check out. So I've got this drag and drop style interface. I can easily navigate, move things around. I can change the order of fields, and I can make the look of the form be however I want just by making simple configuration changes. Maybe I want that border to look different. I can just pick a different theme. Now it's got a little bit of a shadow and it's rounded. Maybe I want a different color for that as well. Right now it's a light blue. Maybe I want to instead make that, like a light green or something like that. I don't have to go into a style sheet or anything. I can just pick configuration option, hit save. What you see is what you get. Then I can put in baked in instructions. I can tell those users what to do. And I can even make those appear or disappear according to the status, right? So in the expense report, initially they're filling it out and then they submit it. Well, I don't want them to change anything after submit. So I'm able to put rules in. I have this instruction that tells them this can't be edited after it's submitted. So I only want that to appear when status is submitted, approved, or canceled. So that message pops up in that case. And then on the form itself, I can set rules that control that. So you can see on this field for the line items, for example, this is writable if the status is not submitted, approved, or canceled. Otherwise, it's going to be read only. So that's something you cannot do at all in SharePoint normally, this field level permissions, and super important and handy for this kind of form. So that's the form designer. This is a really awesome tool. If you haven't used Ultimate Forms before, that's definitely the first thing you want to check out, try to use. So be sure to get into that first. And then as a part of this, you're certainly going to want to have the ability to do print templates. I showed you the PDF. That's really easy. You just can add the fields that you want. You can move them around, reorder them, just drag them into whatever order you want, and it's going to automatically put together a print template for you. That's just for the basic print template, and that gives you the PDF output. And then also you can do automation related to that. So I have actions in here that make updates according to updates from the form. So that PDF printout, I don't want people to have to manually go to get that printout. I just wanted to create that for me automatically every time an expense report is approved. And I was able to do that by just setting a condition here. So status after change approved. Well, if that happens, that's my trigger. And I just give it some instructions and I say, okay, I want you to use this expense print template I created, make me a PDF, send it to a document library, and I want it to go to this report PDFs library. So I just configured all this stuff, and that means it's going to happen automatically. Nobody ever has to think about it. You don't have to worry about somebody forgetting to get it done. It's fully automated. Email notifications obviously are going to be an important part of any custom solution you build. And email alert notifications are really easy to do with Ultimate Forms. So you can just go into the email configuration section and you can just configure rules. So I just go in here and say, all right, when the expense report's submitted, I want that to go to the employee. I just select the employee field. I can select from the fields in my list. I just select employee like that, click add. I already had it, so get rid of it. And then I have it copying to the manager. I say I want that to go out when status after change is approved. That's the trigger condition. And then I have an email template for this, expense report approved. And that's where I can do the custom formatting and insert content from the form. And that's going to go out automatically. If you didn't have this, you have to use automation. And it's possible to do this through Power Automate, but it's a lot more time consuming and it's a hassle, especially if you have to do multiple different email rules and alerts. It's so much easier to be able to get to that directly from SharePoint. All right, I'll go ahead and jump out of there. And so these tools are something you can try out easily. So what I'm demonstrating today, you can download this. We're going to provide this template for you for free. You can try our tools for free. If you don't use Ultimate Forms yet, you can just go to our homepage, click Try Now for free, then click on Install, and then just go through those steps, and that'll install the software into your SharePoint environment, and then you can begin to try it out. And it's our full software. It's not limited in any way other than after a period of time, 30 days, then it times out. We have lots of great resources that can help you learn how to use our software. We provide tutorials. That's the first thing to check out, especially the articles in the Getting Started section. These gives you step-by-step instructions on how to create forms. So I recommend to check that out first. Outside of that, we have training available. We have a recorded video training called Kickstart Training. That's free. If you're looking for something more structured and interactive, we provide instructor-led training, which is foundation training and advanced training. And you can look at signing up for that if you're going to go ahead and move forward and adopt these tools. So lots of great resources. And we will be uploading a link to this template that will be available in our webinars page after our session today. So that concludes the main presentation on Ultimate Forms. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about SharePoint dashboards in a moment, but before I do, I want to jump to your questions. So if you have questions about mobile forms, go ahead and enter those in the questions interface now, and I'll try to address that. So I'm not sure if you guys have some particular situations or things you want to do with forms for your phone, but go ahead and put it in there if you do. All right, I don't see any questions at the moment, but if you have any, go ahead and stick them in there. I'm going to go ahead and jump over and talk about an additional topic, which is about SharePoint dashboards. So I'm going to go to that now. Okay, so SharePoint dashboards is an additional tool. It works great in addition to Ultimate Forms, but it is separate from that. This is specifically for SharePoint Online. These are templates that allow you to visualize data and have buttons and indicators on your SharePoint views to make them look nicer, more interactive, easier to use, that type of thing. So this is an additional tool. I'm going to show you specifically a template that just released on this, which is a task board template that came out this week. And if any of you have ever used a Kanban board, you'll immediately be comfortable with this type of system. This is a board for managing tasks where you can put in a description and move them around, drag them around from left to right. So I'm going to demonstrate how that system works and talk to you about how you can configure and set that up yourself. Okay, I got some questions about mobile forms, so let me go back to that real quick. Okay, there's a question about training from Kwame. That'd probably be easier if you reach out to me directly. Generally, our training offering for Infowise that's described on the Infowise site, if you just go to the resources and training, that is fully described under the instructor-led training. So if you're curious about the pricing or what's covered in training, that's fully described on that training page. So hopefully that helps you out. I've got another question about mobile design form. Okay, the form adapts automatically. So the key aspect to our tools is that it uses responsive design. So unlike some other situations, you don't have to design the form twice. In other words, I don't have to make a form and set up a design specifically for mobile and then turn around and do it for desktop. So as I demonstrated on my screen share, it's going to automatically do that for you. So for example, if you have a multi-column form or something like that, it's going to move that into a single column that I can scroll through. So basically, you just use your regular form design tool in Ultimate Forms and go through the regular steps, and your output on the mobile device will display automatically. All right, good questions. Thank you. All right, so let me demonstrate how this tool works. So this is taking advantage of a feature in SharePoint Online, which is a board view, but it uses some additional functionality that's part of this SharePoint dashboards template. So the idea is you can have tasks that you generate on here. I'm going to go ahead and create a new one. Upload webinar recording. I'm just doing an example real quick. And this can handle a lot of information, so just to demonstrate that, I'll make it long. I'll send that to myself. Okay, so that's our task card. Now this uses inline edit mode as well, so I can click right in here and say something else and click out of that. It'll automatically update for me. And I can do something else that's really important. This, you can see this really fills up the real estate on the form. I can click the button in the upper left to expand or collapse these task cards to make it fit in here more easily. Now notice as I move the tasks from left to right, the color changes, and that's configured according to the template. It helps you to visualize and understand between these different statuses. So in other words, each lane has its own status. So we start on the left with unassigned, then it has a status of not started, in progress, hold. So generally speaking, we're moving our tasks from left to right as you get them complete, and you just can drag them around as needed. And then if I have one that's canceled, but maybe I don't want to delete it, I can do that as well. And I can click into any of these fields and adjust them. So I don't have to go to the edit form. I can just do that inline edit as well. Another concept is priority. There's 3 priority levels. So I may have a top priority, and if that's true, I want it to go to the top, medium, or low. So that helps with sorting. So for example, the webinar one I just made, maybe I want to have a different priority. That's a high priority. I can go ahead and adjust that. I can edit that, and I'm going to say that's a high priority. And what's going to happen is it's automatically going to make that go up to the top because that's a higher priority than the other one. Again, I can just collapse these down if I want. So this is just one template that's available that you can try out that's available in this site. So this is at the SharePoint dashboard site. Now what's nice is you can use 20 templates from the site for free. There's a free sign up you can go to, and those are unlimited. You can use those 20 free templates. All you have to do is provide your email address and name. You'll get a login, and you can start using those right away. Some of the more useful templates are available for free. That includes the some of the buttons, especially. So the edit button, the view button that you saw in our webinar presentation today, link buttons, email, all kinds of things like that. So you can go ahead and get started and start playing around with these templates. And if you find those are really useful and you want to take advantage of everything, there's a subscription option available as well. So I hope you find that interesting. These particular templates are available specifically for SharePoint Online users, or if you happen to have SharePoint Server Subscription Edition, it will work for that as well. So if you do have any questions about SharePoint templates, go ahead and put those in the questions interface, or alternatively, you can contact us by just clicking on the contact button in the form. Okay, so that concludes our main presentation. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but I will stay on to answer questions if anybody has any additional questions. Thank you for joining for our presentation.